The Ibadan Forest Horrors. Chapter 1. The Heart of Darkness. The humid air hung heavy, thick with the smell of decay and the buzzing of insects. Sunlight, struggling to penetrate the dense canopy, cast long, eerie shadows on the forest floor. It was here, in the depths of the Ibadan Forest, that a scene ripped from a nightmare awaited discovery. Bodies, some skeletal, some in varying stages of decomposition, lay scattered amongst the undergrowth. News of the Ibadan Forest Horror, as it came to be known, spread like wildfire. The city, vibrant and alive with the pulse of millions, recoiled in horror. The investigation began, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Wind. Rumors like tendrils of smoke began to rise from the ashes of shock. Whispers of strange occurrences within the forest, of people vanishing without a trace. Stories passed down through generations of rituals and sacrifices, of ancient evils lurking beneath the surface. The Ibadan Forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, became synonymous with fear. The authorities, faced with mounting public pressure and the sheer enormity of the crime, began their investigation. The victims, many unidentified, seemed to come from all walks of life, young and old, rich and poor, united in their tragic end. The only common thread, the brutal manner of their deaths, each bearing the hallmarks of ritualistic violence. Witnesses spoke of strange occurrences in the months leading up to the discovery. The line between reality and folklore blurred, leaving the city teetering on the precipice of fear and uncertainty. Chapter 3. Silent Victims, Loud Truths. The victims, each one a life cut short, a story left untold. Families, torn apart by grief and unanswered questions, clung to the hope of justice, of finding meaning in the senseless. The police, working tirelessly, began the arduous task of identification. Among the victims, a handful of survivors emerged. Their courage in coming forward, in reliving their trauma, provided invaluable insights for the investigation, each thread leading to a dead end. The perpetrators, like phantoms, seemed to melt back into the shadows, leaving behind no trace. Frustration mounted as the authorities grappled with the chilling reality. They were dealing with something more organized, more sinister than they could have imagined. The city, once a bustling hub of commerce and culture, now held its breath. Fear, like a virus, spread through the streets, infecting every aspect of daily life. Theories abounded, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. The lack of progress only fueled the public's anxiety. Chapter 4. Echoes of the Abyss. The Ibadan Forest. Horror wasn't just a crime, it was a wound on the city's soul. The once familiar streets now seemed menacing, the shadows deeper, the laughter of children a little less carefree. The city, once a symbol of hope and progress, now grappled with a collective trauma. The media, both local and international, descended upon Ibadan, their cameras capturing the fear and uncertainty that hung heavy in the air. The impact on the local community was profound. Trust eroded, replaced by suspicion and fear. As months turned into years, the initial shock began to give way to a dull ache of despair. The Ibadan Forest Horror, once a constant fixture in the headlines, slowly faded from public consciousness. But for the families of the victims and the survivors, the nightmare continued. They lived with the scars, both physical and emotional, a constant reminder of the horror they had endured. The lack of closure, the absence of justice, gnawed at the edges of their sanity. Support groups emerged, offering a safe space for families and survivors to share their grief, their anger, their fear. The city, too, bore the scars of that fateful day. The investigation, though officially ongoing, had hit a wall. Leads ran cold, witnesses clammed up, and the perpetrators, like phantoms, remained elusive. The lack of progress fueled speculation, with rumors swirling about corruption, cover-ups, and a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of power. The authorities, frustrated and under pressure, maintained their stance that the investigation was active, but the public's trust had waned. The silence from those in charge spoke volumes. Within the community, a culture of fear and silence had taken root. Journalists, determined to uncover the truth, faced threats, intimidation, and bureaucratic roadblocks at every turn. In the absence of concrete answers, the void was filled with speculation and superstition. The Ibadan Forest Horror, once a horrific crime, began to morph into a modern-day myth, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones. The lines between fact and fiction blurred, making it even harder to separate truth from speculation. Some believed the perpetrators practiced dark magic, using the forest as their temple, sacrificing innocents to appease ancient deities. Stories circulated of curses and malevolent spirits, of rituals gone wrong, and the wrath of vengeful entities. Fear, like a virus, thrived in the absence of knowledge, twisting logic and amplifying the most primal of instincts. Chapter 5. The Monster in the Shadows. Who were the perpetrators of the Ibadan Forest Horror? Were they driven by a lust for power, a thirst for blood, or a twisted sense of religious fervor? Or were they simply monsters wearing human faces, their motives as impenetrable as the darkness that shrouded the forest? Profilers, brought in to analyze the crime scene and the limited evidence available, painted a picture of individuals deeply disturbed, their actions revealing a chilling level of premeditation and a callous disregard for human life. The brutality of the killings, the ritualistic elements, the complete lack of remorse, it all pointed towards a darkness that ran deep, a depravity that defied explanation. The authorities, determined to bring the perpetrators to justice, explored every avenue, pursued every lead, however tenuous. But the monsters, elusive and cunning, remained one step ahead, their faces hidden in the shadows. Chapter 6. The Final Chapter. Years have passed since the horrors of the Ibadan Forest were unveiled, yet the case remains unsolved, a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity and the elusiveness of truth. The questions remain, etched in the collective memory of the city, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of their lives. Who were the victims, many still unidentified, their stories lost in the tangled undergrowth of the forest? What were the motives behind their brutal killings? Were they random acts of violence, or was there a more sinister agenda at play? The survivors, forever scarred by their ordeal, carry the weight of their experiences, haunted by the memories they can never erase. The search for answers continues, driven by the unwavering dedication of law enforcement, the tireless efforts of journalists, and the unyielding hope of the families who refuse to let the memory of their loved ones fade into obscurity. Thank you for joining Spookscope today. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts and theories with us in the comments section, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more contents alike. Until next time, my friend, stay curious.